The playoffs are here, and you can predict the action all the way to the finals with FanDuel Predicts. Predict the spread, the total points, and even the game-winning moments that make the playoffs. Sign up and get a $25 bonus with FanDuel Predicts.
Offered by FanDuel Prediction Markets, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant. 18-plus bonus is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with their consumer protection tools. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/predicts/bonus-offer-terms. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the program. Definitely appreciate your support. And, boy, lots to talk about. Of course, the Spirit Airlines, they're gone. So many entertaining videos come across my social media from Spirit Airlines. It's amazing. Oh, what, Anthony? Are they amazing aviation videos or the science behind flying, the pleasure people get from going to faraway lands? Nope. We all know what I'm talking about, the amazing mid-flight brawling and the yelling at the ticket counter and the gate, and people getting thrown off the planes. We're going to miss that. We do still have Frontier and Southwest, though, two airlines that were right there with the Spirit, and the Spirit of Spirit will still be on board Frontier and Southwest. Or maybe the airline you like to use, because maybe they'll scrape up a couple of more bucks from the discount airline that is Spirit, and start taking American or Delta or any of the other not discount airlines. I was always able to tell when a video was from Spirit because the back of the seats, you'd see somebody recording from their seat, and of course the back of the seat in front of them would be on camera, and they looked like cafeteria seats from elementary school. They're very thin. They have that little lip on the edge of the back of the seat, and just had to be so uncomfortable. I never had the pleasure of flying Spirit Air. I did fly Southwest once. I was put in a very terrible position where I could not get a flight on my usual carrier, and I had to take Southwest, and it was just, I mean, you feel like cattle. You really feel like cattle. What was that? Who was the airline Indiana Jones took in Temple of Doom? Lao Chi with the chickens. There are chickens on board with you, and that's kind of hay. You sat on bales of hay. That's kind of how I felt. I don't really like the, you board and you take a seat wherever you find one, like a bus. You just sit down in a seat that you could find. I don't like that. I like planning ahead. I like knowing what seat I'm sitting in, what type of plane it is. And, of course, I like the amenities. First class. That's how your pal Anthony flies. If there's one thing I cannot just be the everyman with, it is the flying experience. And years ago, it wasn't that bad. Coach wasn't that bad many, many years ago. People complained about it because, relatively speaking, I guess it wasn't business or first class. But Coach, a few decades back, is the equivalent of what first class is now in a lot of the airlines. And first class now is, it's barely gets you by. You barely feel like a human. And Coach is just abominable. And then when you go down to some of these discount airlines, it is really not a fun experience. And Delta just decided this is, I think, right about now, right after the Spirit Air was decision to disappear came out. Delta's decided they will no longer serve their little snacks on the plane if the flight is under, I think it's 300 miles. If you're flying a short little hop, a lot of commuters do that. If you're flying from New York to D.C., something like that, they will no longer be serving you those amazing, the delicacies of the what is it? The Braniff, the Biscoff doggy treat that they hand out. Ooh, a Biscoff. And water. Of course, you could buy soda or an alcoholic beverage if you're on board. But that'll just go away for the people in coach on Delta for flights under 300 miles. Now, if you're still in first class, who the hell would go first class for a 300-mile flight, though? The commuter planes first class for those short flights, it's ridiculous. You're pretty much paying just to board before everyone else. And maybe get a mimosa or something while you're still sitting at the gate, while the people file into steerage in the back, last class in the back of the plane. But it's the airline industry has gotten terrible, and it's been that way for quite a few years. I think the COVID situation really put a damper on any amenities that you might remember from flying. They were just like, keep your mask on, sit down, shut up, get nothing. Remember when you had to pull your mask down to eat and then put your mask back up on a plane? You'd shove that horrible cookie that they gave you or your bag of chips, and they tell you, no, hey, put that up when you're chewing. Put that mask back on your face while you're chewing that gourmet cookie. And it really never came back. They decided they weren't going to serve food. They weren't going to serve drinks to the people in coach. And a lot of it is still that way. Still that way. There's nothing. You look years ago. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. The commercials for air travel back in the 70s, 80s was amazing. You were flying in a restaurant, a gourmet restaurant. And now, I love how they go, we've began our initial descent. The flight attendants will come by to gather up any wrappers or anything. Please put your seats up and your tray tables away. Initial descent? We're still a half hour, 40 minutes away from landing. Back in the old days, you'd hit the runway still carving your roast beef with a metal knife and fork. Hey, welcome to Denver. Oh, I'm still finishing up my my pork chops. Now they really have done away with every amenity, everything that made air travel a little special. And people complain that passengers don't dress appropriately anymore. They don't like people wearing their pajamas, those shower caps and what have you when they fly in. I agree 100%. But there's also a responsibility with the airline. If people feel like they're being treated better, maybe they'll dress better. If, like the old days, if you feel like you're getting amazing service, amazing food, the staff, the flight attendants were pretty and personable, you wanted to dress better. That was just how it felt. That's how you felt you should dress for such an experience. I'm not excusing any of these degenerates that dress in pajamas. But, I guess it goes both ways. You want us to dress nice and be courteous. That's another thing. All decorum has gone out the window. As far as air travel goes, we've seen an amazing amount of fights, and the simplest dispute turns into a fist fight. The simplest request turns into an argument. And then before you know it, everyone's got to get off the plane because some idiot doesn't want to get kicked off because they've broken the rules. That's the difference today. People don't feel like they are experiencing anything special. Air travel used to be special. And I'm not saying we should look at it like we've never seen a plane before. But there's a lot of things that require both parties to feel some balance with. And if you're going to be treated like you're livestock and they'll throw some oats out for you mid-flight, then people are going to dress like livestock. If they're treated nicely and are given some of those amenities from yesteryear, they're going to feel silly if they're dressed terribly when they're being treated so well. Or maybe I'm just speaking like someone who has a thought process from the past that remembers things from long ago. Because I'm certain there will still be people that even if they're treated well, they will act like animals on these planes. All right, look, we are just getting started. If you want to give us a call and comment, 800-848-9222. And we're going to talk a little about Spirit Air and why some of the theories, why they went under. Liz Warren's name comes up. Pete Buttigieg, his name comes up. Yeah, we'll talk about that and plenty more when the show continues next.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Welcome. We're talking about Spirit Air a little bit. An airline goes under. Dunsky, gone, goodbye. And the finger of blame, oh boy, is it being pointed in all directions. But somebody that's getting a lot of heat is Liz Warren. Yes, Liz Warren. She was an advocate for the government, the United States government, blocking a merger that would have taken place between Spirit and JetBlue. JetBlue offered up $3.8 billion with a B dollars in cold hard cash to buy Spirit in 2022. Shareholders, flight attendants, union, literally everybody voted yes. They wanted this to happen. The insiders knew that Spirit was on its last wing, on a wing and a prayer. If I could make any more airline puns, I will. Trust me. And I guess Liz Warren said no. She didn't like the idea of less competition. She thought a merger between these airlines, like other mergers between airlines, cuts down on the competition. A lot of different airlines and Discount Air gives the people that she so loves and adores, the people of America. I just love Americans, the people. And she said, nope, we got to move forward and block any merger. So she did. She wrote letters, pressured Buttigieg. Biden's DOJ sued, and a federal judge killed the deal in January of 2024. Her argument, of course, the merger would have cost consumers $1 billion a year. She was saving the people $1 billion a year. My God, what a wonderful person. And now let's look at some of the collateral damage. 510 pilots gone in the months after they lost the deal. 1,800 flight attendants furloughed in December. 14,000 jobs in 2023 and 7,500 last week alone. And that's just people in Spirit uniforms. Catering goes, fuel guys, baggage crews, gate agents, airport coffee shops, hotels, rental cars. In 70 cities, Spirit flew to. Every airline job carries 3 or more jobs on its back. 40,000 people out of work because one woman had a moronic crusade against the market. That's what it is. Spirit abandoned 90 routes during the death spiral. Fares on those routes are up 14% on average. And Senator Warren, Liz Warren, is the one that really pushed, her and Buttigieg really pushed to have to stop the merger. Let's see what else is going on here. She says, let's see if I can find this one. Oh, yeah. Here's Liz Warren's original post when they were trying to stop the merger between JetBlue and Spirit. She goes, I've warned for months that a JetBlue Spirit merger would have led to fewer flights and higher fares. And then she talks about the Department of Transportation and the Justice Department. They were right to stand up for consumers and fight against runaway airline consolidation. This is a Biden win for flyers. Another Biden win. This is what Warren said right when they were trying to stop the merger. Now, here's one of her latest posts about the shutdown of Spirit Air. Spiking fuel prices from Trump's war was the nail in the coffin for twice bankrupted Spirit Airlines. The JetBlue merger failed because a judge appointed by Ronald Reagan said the deal was illegal. Republicans are desperate to shift blame from higher costs hitting families. She was integral, an integral part in the merger not happening, which would have saved Spirit, would have been a consolidated airline, like we've seen happen in the past between JetBlue and Spirit. But those employees, while there probably would have been some layoffs and redundancies, there always is with a merger, it wouldn't have been this. You have thousands of jobs that are gone. You have people that were stranded in cities. They don't know all the peripheral jobs that come from that. And then you talk about competition. That was her big thing. There's one less airline now out there. Her battle to keep airlines competitive resulted in one less airline being out there. So now the airlines that are left can jack up prices on those routes, can take over those routes and do what they please. That's how it goes. She's a commie socialist, whatever you want to call it, that doesn't understand the free market. They got to get their mitts into everything, these politicians. Mostly Democrats. They love commies. They love, getting their snouts into everything Americans should be able to do by themselves. The free market, your own companies, your businesses. They got to get in there and just shake it all up. And that's what you saw happen here. So now there are a bunch of people out of work. Here's Pete Buttigieg. This is clip A6. This is him talking about blocking the merger back a couple of years back. How'd that work out, Pete? Let's listen to Pete Buttigieg.
Our department, the Department of Transportation, has generally not gotten involved in these merger cases, but that's changing today. It is so important to make sure that passengers have choices, that they have access to low fares, that they have access to competition, and yet we've seen less and less and less of that competition over the years. We are taking a step that, again, is unusual in terms of recent years, but we think is the right thing to do, supporting the DOJ's lawsuit and independently using our own authorities, which are a little bit different from the DOJ, starting our own investigation and taking other actions.
Yeah. Good work. Good job. Wow. That's what you want. Competition. You eliminated jobs. And she's taken credit, or she took credit for it. She says she's never made out a payroll. She's never run a business where she knows about the simplest economics like supply and demand and what have you. She was selling it on saving you billions on imaginary paper. That's what it is, just this imaginary paper. Oh, this is great. We're saving you billions. Well, where are the billions? Oh, you'll see it. No, they won't. Bunch of people out of work. It's going to cost 10 times that much in real life. Does she get this? She don't. She didn't protect consumers from anything. 14,000 jobs going to go from working to perhaps welfare or unemployment. And then she blames the billionaires, the taxpayers, capitalism, Ronald Reagan, Trump, higher taxes, fewer jobs. That's what Liz Warren did. That's what she did for you. A lot of these numbers that I'm getting are from Yogi, House of Yogi on X. He posted a bunch of stuff about what is happening with Spirit and how Senator Liz Warren is involved. It's terrible. And she should be ashamed of herself. All right, don't go anywhere. Your call's next.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show. Let's go to Larry there in Staten Island. Larry, what's up?
I want to just touch on two items. But before that, I want to advise our listeners to stay a prayer for Rudy Giuliani, who is in a hospital right now in Florida. They say in critical condition, but stable. So please, stay a prayer for him.
Yes, indeed. It's terrible. I didn't see that.
Yeah. It's just come over a little while ago.
All right, Larry, what else?
I want to talk about two things. One, the Homeland Security budget. How suddenly they raised all this money, put it back in the budget. Now, I blame two clowns for this. Chuck E. Cheese Schumer and Ken Jeffries.
Yeah.
How can you hold funds back from the Homeland Security? We're in the theater of war in Iran. And it took an attempt or a close attempt of assassination on a president to wake you stupid people up because the Secret Service is a part of the Homeland Security. I just get these guys out of here. They got to go.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's.
They don't care about anything as far as the actual health of the country goes, the safety of the country, anything. It's all about make the other party look like the criminals, the bad guys, evil, tyrannical, literally Hitler, and get as many people to vote for you as possible. They don't really care. If the politicians in D.C. cared about this country, they would have made sure somehow, some way, that these agencies were funded because they're integral to the safety of the country. So you make it work. somehow. That's not their priority. It's blatantly obvious that it's not their priority to make sure this country is running well. They want the other side to come off looking bad, and they want votes for themselves. Those are the only, not just the top priorities, the only priorities that they have, Larry.
But they don't understand, Anthony, the number one function of government is to provide public security.
Yeah.
They don't realize that.
Well, they can't even look after the president. We've seen that.
Yeah.
I mean, every clip we see of an attempted assassination, and there's plenty these days, the Secret Service, while, look, I'm not in their shoes. I don't want to be in their shoes. But, boy, they don't look like they know what they're doing a lot of times. Thank you.
I'm not going to comment. I'm not going to comment on them either.
All right. Yeah, I get you. Look, I'm a supporter. I'm a supporter of law enforcement. But I just look. They get the wrong people in some of these jobs. It has to do with diversity, equity, and inclusion. It has to do with they want to seem like they're doing the right thing by opening up their law enforcement jobs to everybody. Some people don't belong in those positions. That's just the way it is. We see it all over the place in every major city, police departments where they're fat. They don't know what they're doing. The women are incapable of taking down big guys who make up a pretty large portion of your bad guys. And we still do this. They still hire people that are incompetent. Why? Why are they doing that, Larry?
Politics.
Yeah, it's all politics. Politics, virtue signaling. They want votes, and they want the fat vote. They want the woman vote. So they say you could do anything if you put your mind to it. Yeah? Take down this 300-pound thug, and let's see how that works for you. All right. Larry, thank you, my friend. I can't hang up on Larry because the phone screen went some prompt has to be clicked. You guys back at base camp up there in fancy New York City. You know what I'm talking about. Got to click that little thing, continue up there on the phone bank. I got you. I know. I wanted to talk a little about this amazing thing we have these days, AI, Grok, ChatGPT. People are getting very dependent on AI. A lot of people use it as a search engine. Instead of putting something in Google, you put it in Grok or some other AI, and it gives you more detailed answers to your questions. So I was watching I was watching Oppenheimer, and I love that. Second time watching it, and I just love the technology and the fact that so many years ago, people were able to figure this stuff out, splitting atoms, how you do it. It seems impossible that people in the late 1800s, early 1900s already knew that there were these things called atoms, knew what they were composed of, and how to split an atom. They figured out how to split an atom with firing a neutron at it. It's amazing. And from the time they even started figuring out that there were atoms up until the invention of atomic bombs and nuclear power plants was a relatively short period of time. And I got very curious as to how all this stuff works. You know, uranium, plutonium, how do they turn uranium into plutonium? Plutonium isn't even a naturally occurring element. It occurs very, very small, in very small levels naturally through the decay of uranium. But it had to be made. It had to be produced. And they knew how to do that by taking uranium and altering it with neutrons and decay, and that turns into neptunium and then plutonium. And I was just fascinated by this. So I spent quite a bit of time with Grok, which is Elon Musk's artificial intelligence. And I was just asking a lot of questions about nuclear weapons and nuclear power plants and uranium, plutonium, different types of bombs, the gun bomb that was used on Hiroshima, the implosion bomb that was used on Nagasaki, and then I just got this whoosh of adrenaline and nervousness, thinking, what is somebody looking at my search? What would someone think if they saw some guy asking so many questions? I'm not a teacher. I'm not a physicist. I'm a controversial conservative talker. What would someone think if I was inquiring about this? And it wasn't just some passing kind of laugh. We're like, oh, God, could you imagine if someone in the government or law enforcement or they in the New World Order sees me inquiring about this stuff? And it really put like this paranoia and kind of a fear into me that we have the ability to ask AI all these questions, but what is the cost? Who's looking at it? That is an AI, Grok. It's not on your phone. Oh, it's the app. It's on my phone. It's not like you're using an app that is completely self-contained on your phone. This goes somewhere. That question you ask goes somewhere. It's in a giant building with processors, whirring fans, and air conditioning units. And then it comes up with an answer to your query and sends it back to your phone. And to think that that isn't being looked at by people would be pretty naive. Maybe not being looked at by people in every instance, but it's certainly being looked at by the computers itself, by the algorithm, and perhaps that can pop a red flag up at some point. And maybe eventually it does get down to a real person that has to go, maybe we ought to look into this. This person is asking some pretty unique questions. So how concerned do you think we have to be as people and as citizens of the United States, which supposedly is a free country, where you would assume they would love to have a population that is curious and wants to ask questions and get answers. But we've seen what happens to certain people that ask certain questions in this country. I never would have thought this years ago. But years ago, you had to go to a library. And were they looking at what you were flicking through in the Dewey Decimal System card catalog? What is he pawing through there? Natural science? What is he looking up? But now your questions and your answers are going through the air. They're being picked up by computers, and there's an algorithm, and there's people that own and run the companies that are giving you those answers. It's a little frightening. It is a little frightening. So if you got any opinion on that, 800-848-9222. Tony, Clifton, New Jersey. What's up? Hello. Tony?
You started your conversation with my favorite senator, Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, yeah, no, I know. We change subjects here, but I never fret about what the callers want to talk about.
So,
Go ahead.
Anthony, as I look at what's happening in our country, as President Trump tries to change it, I look at what's going on in the Democratic Party like we all do, and we try to sort of just go with the flow. And Nancy Pelosi was a groomer. See, the Democrat Party is a groomer, a political groomer. And a lot of it is pretty nasty to me. I mean, Pelosi groomed Eric Swalwell, and look what, she knew about him. And we say even Joe Biden was kind of a weird kind of groomer person. He was very strange around young people. And we're looking at someone like Elizabeth Warren, who she is in the party to groom. That's Pocahontas. She has groomed Ocasio-Cortez. She's grooming sort of like you said, the whole thing with the airlines. Whatever the party needs, she is their groomer, propagandist. And it's really nasty what's going on. And President Trump, God bless him, is trying to avert all these things. But that's the term I think of, Anthony, like political groomers of the nastiest sort. And I really thank you for pointing it all out, because I didn't even focus on what they were doing with the airlines, which is disgusting itself.
Yeah, you bring up a great point, though, because we don't think of politics like that, or at least we didn't used to, and now some people are waking up, but not enough. These lifer politicians like Pelosi, these people that have been in there a long time, they get these newcomers like AOC was a few years back, and I guess relatively speaking to some of these ancient politicians, she's still considered a kid and a newbie at this. They take them under their wing, not to listen to their new ideas and talk to them about their commitment to the people of America, and it's to make sure they toe the company line, stick to the agendas that these people have been pumping out their entire careers, which sometimes is over a half century long in public office. So grooming, while it's usually used for more horrible sexual crimes, is a great term. You bring up a good term there, Tony, for what these people do with these new politicians. Look at what you talk about. You talk about Elizabeth Warren and what she did with Spirit Air. Look at what AOC did, chasing away, what was that, Amazon, out of her district. Amazon was going to build a warehouse, a delivery facility in AOC's district in Queens, New York. And what happened? She chased them away, saying, no, we don't want this company that doesn't pay their fair share in taxes, and cost her district huge amounts of money in taxes from the employees that would have gotten. And then the peripheral, people have to go to lunch in diners and restaurants and delis in her district. All of that was flushed down the toilet because, like AOC, they don't pay their fair share. And now you have nothing. Just like Spirit. You wanted this, you want competition, now you have nothing. So they're birds of a feather. And Tony, thanks a lot. Grooming is a good term. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I didn't think she was speaking up again. But that's how they operate. They're constantly screwing things up. They need to make it feel like they're working for the people. They do not care about the people. Their policies make that blatantly obvious. Their priorities make it blatantly obvious. And like I said, just like Spirit Air, AOC chased away Amazon from her district. And it was under this, we pay taxes. I have teachers and construction workers in my district, and they pay taxes. I'm not going to have some company come in here that doesn't pay their fair share. And she thinks that her constituents are going to go, yeah, AOC's one of us. She's behind us. And unfortunately, enough of them do to keep voting for her. But the bottom line is she cost her district so much money, so much tax revenue, jobs, prosperity for local businesses. And it's exactly what Liz Warren did with the JetBlue Spirit deal. Oh, no, big companies, billion-dollar companies uniting. It could only be to do horrible things to the people that I care about. And now look, one less airline. Good job. Good job. Well done, Liz. Have another beer. I'm going to have me a beer. Remember that one? She was the leading candidate for the Democrats in 2016 during the primaries for 3 seconds. Remember that? Everyone was like, oh, could it be Liz Warren? Could she be the nominee for the Democrat? And she stepped on that rake 20 times in between that and the actual nomination of Joe Biden. So she's an idiot. AOC's an idiot. People just don't want to admit. And other people are too stupid to vote for anyone else. They see the Democrat. They see, the free things for people. They fight for the American people. And they're too stupid to see what's right in front of their face. They're not fighting for you. They're fighting for themselves and votes and whatever contributions they could get to their campaigns. All right. Plenty more to come. Don't you go anywhere. The Anthony Cumia Show continues after this.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show, and we got a bunch of stuff to talk about tonight, that's for sure. But no evening would be complete. No Sunday evening on this program would be complete without a little Zoran Mamdani news. Zoran Mamdani, your great mayor of New York City, New York. And he has declared, didn't see this coming, didn't know this was going to happen. Do you know there's a budget crisis in New York? Oh, my goodness. Yes, there is. He's got a $5.5 billion shortfall in the budget. And he thinks he can tax his way out of it. He keeps coming up with these new programs and expensive free stuff that he wants to implement. These are the things that got him elected. Let's be real. He got on the scene, got on Instagram, smiling, making his funny little social media videos, and they sucked it up. They lapped it right up, and they love the guy. He's going to give us free buses, free child care, free health care, rent freezes, grocery stores, commie grocery stores. All this stuff cost an unbelievable amount of money that New York City just does not have. Not even close. You got to start ripping down a lot of these programs before you could even get close to trying to balance a budget. And New York City is one of these places that the law requires them to balance a budget, to have a balanced budget. So he's kind of freaking out. And what does he want to talk about? Cutting the cost, the expense of government in New York City? Nope. It's all about taxes. That's all he wants to do. Let's see what Mamdani says about his budget crisis. AC3. Boo, 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 boo. AC3 is the clip. Mamdani budget crisis. You got it? No? Hello? Ground control to Major Tom.
New York City faces a budget crisis of a historic magnitude. We inherited a deficit larger than any since the Great Recession. Years of mismanagement and chronic underbudgeting, alongside a structural imbalance between what New York City sends to the state and what we receive in return, have taken a toll. We cannot close this deficit with savings alone. We need new revenue, and we need a structural reset in our relationship with the state. That is the only way to meet our legal obligation to pass a balanced budget, and to do so without imposing a financial burden onto the backs of working people. I'm glad to partner with Speaker Menon as we call upon Albany and deliver a balanced budget. Together, we are extending the executive budget deadline from this coming Friday until May 12th, because a crisis of this scale cannot be solved without state action. I want to be clear. We are not simply asking others to act. New York City is doing our part. We are committed to governing with the fiscal responsibility this moment demands. Speaker Menon and I have already identified meaningful savings, and we will continue that work carefully, deliberately, and without cutting the services that New Yorkers rely on. But we cannot do it alone. That is why we are standing together this morning, to underscore what is at stake and to call on Albany to deliver additional revenue.
Call on Albany to deliver revenue. Under budget. I like how he said that they're giving the money that he's getting from Albany is under budget. You have to stop spending on useless commie things that aren't going to help anyone. They're these boondoggles. And he wants more money from Albany. He wants to give less money out unless it's to these programs. And he wants to tax the hell out of anyone left that is actually contributing to New York City. I just saw in one of the proposals, the budget proposals, there's $15 million for his free buses. Now, we've heard this is going to cost $7 billion at least. Maybe it was $14 billion, I think. Huge amounts of money for his free fast buses. But $15 million to get one free bus line in each of the 5 boroughs. This is just so he can say, look what I did. I gave you the free buses I promised. Not, because most people won't know it's just one line in each borough, which amounts to nothing. But it's going to cost $15 million just so he can brag that he brought people the free buses that he had promised. It's like with the child care. Free child care, I'm putting it out there for everyone. It's for such a small amount of children. But look what I did. Like the grocery store. Yep, free groceries or low-cost groceries. It's one store in one borough. And then he's hoping to get one in each of the 5 boroughs. So he's a liar. We all say it. All right, back in a moment. Stick around. More to come.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Thanks for tuning in. And want to talk about who could have been your governor of New York, Lee Zeldin. Lee's a good guy. I like Lee Zeldin. He was on Capitol Hill there talking with Rosa DeLauro. She's that insane old lady with the blue hair. She got blue streaks in her hair, and looks like she's 1,000 years old. And I love when things like this happen. Zeldin's talking to her. She's going off on climate change nonsense. And Zeldin just buries her. And this happens all the time because Democrats run on 100% emotion. It's all emotional-based drivel. They're trying to get win the hearts and minds of their constituents. get their money from them and get their votes by saying we care and we're doing things for you. And meanwhile, sometimes the truth is a little harder than that. And facts don't fit into this nice Hallmark card that Democrats like handing out to their voters. Lee Zeldin, he's talking to Rosa DeLauro about climate change, and he just nails her. Listen to this one. Do you got the clip, or you need a number? Oh, AC1.
The budget proposal reads like a climate change denier's manifesto. Yeah. When climate change is flooding our streets, poisoning our air, driving up health care and disaster costs, how can the EPA justify abandoning that duty to protect Americans to appease polluters under the false flag of economic growth?
Following the law, Section 202 of the Clean Air Act, where does it say anything about fighting global climate change? Loper Bright, Supreme Court case. You familiar with it?
No, I maybe others are. I'm not, but let me ask.
But that's really important. As a member of Congress, Loper Bright says that we, as an agency, don't have the authority to get creative. If Section 202 of the Clean Air Act,
no, but you don't have. Excuse me. You do not have the right to say climate change does not exist. That it's a hoax, and that's where this administration is coming from.
I understand you're upset that you don't know what Loper Bright is. Do you know what the major policies doctrine is?
I'm upset because
you know what the major policies doctrine is.
You know what, let me just
you're a member of Congress. You should know.
Well, you have moved from someone who defended the environment to all of a sudden.
I'm very defensive about not knowing the two biggest landmark Supreme Court cases of the last year with regards to your question.
You are very defensive about changing your policy and your positions with regard to the environment. Okay. Now, you just tell me.
You want me to tell you what the two biggest Supreme Court cases are of the last few years?
This is what I want you
Michigan
to tell
versus
me.
EPA.
Whoa.
West Virginia versus EPA.
You know, you're here because you need money from us. So halt for the second and wait for the questions and answer the question.
Well, I answered your question,
no, you
and
didn't.
you didn't like my answer because you don't know what Loper Bright is, because you don't know what the major policies doctrine is, because you're asking me about Section 202 of the Clean Air Act, and you don't read it. You don't know what it says.
Listen, and what you want to do is to deny.
No, I actually read the law. I do my homework.
Really?
You're just somebody who likes to have the microphone on. You know what I have to do? I read the law. I read the Supreme Court cases.
To this, and I would say
no. What you should do for your constituents is actually read statute.
The budget is at real risk.
Read your Supreme Court.
This is the Appropriations Committee.
Oh,
you come here.
You care about science? Now you're threatening to defund it?
Oh my God! No, you don't fund
because
science.
You don't know what Loper Bright is. Because you don't know what the major policies doctrine is. Your message to our folks at the EPA is that you want to defund us.
I don't have to listen to this BS.
BS.
Yeah, you do.
You think I made up these cases?
Yeah, I think you have made up a whole lot of
I made up Loper Bright. I made up West Virginia versus EPA. I made up Michigan versus EPA.
Woe is right. What are you doing? Why are you helping polluters?
We're not going to get any very far by talking on.
You could cut it there.
On top of each other.
That is a picture perfect look at a liberal Democrat talking with anybody, not even another politician or a conservative, just anybody. There is just pure emotion, no logic, no reason. Zeldin had her right there. She wasn't knowledgeable on some of the precedent that had already been set according to what he was talking about. And the fact that she said, you're here to get money from us. What, if you don't agree with Rosa DeLauro, you don't get financing from the Appropriations Committee? Everyone has to go in front of the Appropriations Committee with their hat in hand and say, we need money for this and this and this. And there is no personal, you're not supposed to put anything personal in it. This Rosa DeLauro isn't supposed to go, oh, I don't like what you're saying personally. I don't like that you don't believe in climate change like I do, or I say I do. so I could virtue signal. So I'm going to hold this money over your head and maybe not give it to you because you don't agree with me on a lot of these issues. That's what they do. That is exactly what they do. It's, wow. And again, she's been there forever. She gets reelected. And you go out into this country, you go into the city you live near, the town you live in, and it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of the people that would vote for this idiot walking around. I go out, I talk to people. I don't come across a lot of people that would go, "Oh yeah, I vote for Rosa DeLauro. She's great." Did you hear her rambling like an idiot because she didn't understand some of the laws and precedent that was already set? No, I don't know anybody who says that. But for some reason, this is what we have in office. And you know, I get accused all the time of siding up with Republicans, and Republicans can do no wrong, and that's just not true. When things happen, I call them as I see them. I have a lot of disagreements with Republicans, and the president, Trump, but I mean, it's so common to see these Democrats just babbling and trying to get their voters to vote for them. I know it's part of the job, but to blatantly lie, and they're so uninformed about everything. Listen to them talk about gun control. They know nothing about guns. They know nothing about the laws. They can't even define an assault weapon. And they go out there and they'll speak like they know everything about it. Oh, boy. Steve, Plainview, New York. What's up, Steve?
Hey, Anthony. All right. You're the best, my man.
How you doing?
You know, Spirit Airlines, you mentioned it before, so someone, I heard something about it. So all those people that took that airline got to take another form of transportation now, right?
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm thinking? That means we're going to get slashed on Amtrak, too, and not just the New York City subway?
Well, you know, they're going to need another way to travel, and we know how crazy and debaucherous some of those Spirit Airline passengers have been in the past. You never know.
Yeah. So I think Amtrak's going to be a little scary. It's going to be like the New York City subway.
I was thinking it might be nice, though. Maybe it'll price out some people that don't know how to behave out in public, and maybe, you know. But I think it's just going to – they're just going to start encroaching on other forms of transportation and maybe onto, you know, some of the cheaper American Airlines flights maybe. I don't know. Who knows?
What's cheap out there? What's the next step up from Spirit? I don't know.
Maybe Southwest. It's just as bad, but it's a little better maybe. You still get that the fights at 30,000 feet, but I don't know. Frontier,
yeah.
That's terrible too.
Frontier, yeah, that's one. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Good luck to everybody flying out there. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, I don't know what the hell, what's going to happen with that. It would be nice to return to a simpler time when people who flew knew that it was you're out in public, you're on something that is a miraculous machine, and to sit down and shut up. No one used to get in fights on a plane. No one used to argue with people on the plane. Mike, how you doing, Mike? St. James out there, Long Island, New York. What's up?
Hi, Anthony. If the Nassau County Executive wins the November election for governor, Can he,
Blakeman.
Can he remove the mayor, or does he have to go through the legislature and a lot of legal stuff, or can he just take him out and put in who he wants?
Oh, I'm certain it's a big, complicated, red tape affair. You can't just remove a mayor like that. It would be nice, but yeah, I don't see it happening. He's going to do his 4 years. If New York still looks the same and has the same demographic, he's going to do 8 years. There doesn't seem to be a scenario where a responsible, fiscally responsible, crime-fighting mayor gets into the mansion over there, Gracie Mansion in New York City. I can't imagine it happening.
Do you have grounds that the mayor's policies could bankrupt the city?
I don't know. Does New York have a recall? Can it be put to a vote? But again, you're getting the same people that voted him in would vote for him. So I just don't see it happening. New York seems to be condemned. And I've said it in the past, unless there's some real cataclysmic event that really changes people's minds, the same stuff just happens over and over again. They keep electing in these people that New York's best interest is not in their hearts or minds. I don't know that, Mike. Thank you, my friend. What? Thank you, sir. There goes Mike. Yeah, I don't know. All right, we'll be back in a matter of moments. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. We're just going around the map of the United States, pointing out various politicians, mayors, governors, senators, congress people. I have to say that. I have to be all nice. I can't say congressman anymore. I say congress people. And let's focus on Illinois for a bit. Darren Daly. Bailey? Yeah, Daly. What am I doing? He's running for the governor of Illinois. Governor of Illinois. And he wants to repeal the Safety Act. Now, doesn't that sound crazy? Why would you repeal something called the Safety Act? Doesn't that make people safer? These are your acts, your bills, your executive orders that get signed and put in place, and they are not safe. New York has a SAFE Act. Illinois has a Safety Act. And what this does is let violent felons, hardened criminals, out of jail while they await their next court appearance, because it's cruel and nasty and terrible to leave them in jail. Why not let them out where they can terrorize, horrify, assault, and even murder the citizens, the actual contributing citizens of, in this case, Illinois, Chicago. He wants to repeal the Safety Act through the John Bartholomew Act. This was a cop that was murdered by the story is insane. This guy had an ankle monitor on, and the judge, he had committed a crime with the ankle monitor on, a violent crime, came before the judge, and the judge said, well, release him again with the ankle monitor. And he went on to murder a police officer, John Bartholomew. This no bail thing is a failed experiment. Everyone knew it was going to fail. They tried to lie to everyone and say it was just going to be for the poor fella that they found a roach in his ashtray. Oh, and then they throw him in jail for extended period of time while he waits for his court appearance. And they said that. But the truth of the matter is they are releasing some of the worst, most violent offenders back out into society. And they are doing exactly what they do, being violent. Rape, robbery, assault, murder. It's happening, and unfortunately, it cost a cop his life. This never should have happened. This was absolutely avoidable if the judge would have done their job and kept this guy in jail. So here is Darren Daly, and he is going to talk about, I have a B and a D here. It looks the same. He's going to talk about repealing the Safety Act. Let's listen, shall we?
Now, I have been clear from day one. I believe that the Safety Act must be fully repealed, not tweaked, not adjusted, completely repealed. But while Springfield drags its feet, people are at risk right now. They're at risk today. So today I'm announcing the John Bartholomew Public Safety and Pretrial Justice Act. And this is simply common sense. If a judge believes that someone is more likely than not to be a danger to community, they stay in jail, period. We fix electronic monitoring because right now we have to be honest with ourselves. It's basically the honor system. That ends. Violent offenders will be supervised by real law enforcement, people with the authority to act when something goes wrong. And if you violate your monitor even once, you're back in front of a judge within 48 hours. No loopholes, no excuses, no second chances. You don't get unlimited chances to break the law in Illinois anymore.
It's Bailey. Thank you. Darren Bailey. I like what he's saying. The only thing I didn't like is we got to make sure these monitors are monitored. If you're a violent offender and you're given a monitor, they have to have people that look after it. And then if you violate it, you're brought into court 48 hours later. How about no monitoring of violent offenders? How about the monitoring is done in a jail by corrections officers? That's the only monitoring these people need. It's still the honor system. Do you know how much damage some of these violent offenders can do in 48 hours? If you violate your monitor, you're back in front of a judge in 48 hours. That gives them 2 days to do unspeakable damage to people. How many cops you think they could kill? How many people can they rape, rob, and assault before they get back in custody in front of a judge? That needs to stop. It sounds better than just let them out. They wear these monitors now. The monitor doesn't even go to the police. It goes to the court system, some judge council. And they don't do anything about it. They don't have the infrastructure in place to actually do anything about someone skipping out on their monitor. I mean, literally nothing. There's no one alerted. The cops aren't alerted. No APB or be on the lookout is put out for the person. It's absolutely just the honor system amongst the most dishonorable people you'll ever find. The violent criminal who does not care about anyone. But he's a lot better than Pritzker as far as anything goes, especially with the actual safety of the people. At least he's commenting on it. At least he's acknowledging that police officers are being killed by violent felons that are being let out. And this isn't just Illinois or Chicago, Illinois. This is every single big city in the country. They've all adopted this Safety Act. The irony, the insult to name it Safety Act, letting people out of jail that have perpetrated unbelievable violence against people. And they call it safety. Anyone that's signed on to that bill, looking at it being called the Safety Act, needs to be tossed out of office, lickety-split. Excuse my language. But there's no way people should just look at that and not be insulted that they're taunting you with something called Safety Act when it is something that puts you in danger. The whole policy of releasing violent felons with no bail does nothing but put you in danger. And they just keep doing it. And the bodies pile up, and they just keep doing it. It's got to be repealed. Back in a moment.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Let's go right to my old stomping ground, East Northport, New York. Wendy, how are you this evening?
I'm just peachy keen. Hope you are too.
Oh, great.
I just wanted to comment on that congresswoman who was talking with Lee about environmental pollution.
Oh, yes. Rosa DeLauro.
Yes. Well, I don't really think the problem is so much with her. I think it's all of her brainwashed constituents who've been brainwashed into thinking that we are basically causing the temperature on the earth to rise. And even if that were true, everybody on the planet has to kick in because pollution doesn't just happen over California or New York City.
Right.
Air does travel. So, if China's building 25 coal plants, maybe we should be investing in clean coal.
Yeah. I mean, if it was the case where every country had its own air above it and it was based on how you took care of your environment, the United States would have the cleanest air on the planet over it. And that's amazing for being such a industrial, amazingly innovative country. India, China, all of Africa, they are working on technology from the early industrial age. Coal just pumping out without any reclaiming of the pollution. Why is that our problem? It might be our problem globally as far as the environment goes, but it shouldn't be our financial problem. We're doing our part. Why do we have to pay into this, like the old Paris Accord? We were dumping more money than any other country into the Paris Accord. We've already done our job. We've cleaned up our industry in this country as much as we can. We're amazing at it. And then you got these third world countries that are trying to become industrialized nations, and they're the real criminals. They don't pay a dime. And we have to suffer the consequences of having to press a button so our car doesn't shut off at every stoplight because India can't clean up their act. Go screw.
Yeah, so we should be doing more. We should be doing more manufacturing here in the United States since we do it cleaner than the other countries, if you really believed that we are causing climate change.
Well, that's another thing. It's more expensive to make stuff cleaner than it is to just pump stuff into the atmosphere. So our goods are more expensive. Another reason our goods are more expensive is that. But we pay the price. No one else seems to want to do it. The United States has always been the ATM of the world. We're expected to pay more than anyone else for everything, even stuff we're not responsible for. And, yeah, the climate change thing, I brought this up the other day. Look at the first picture ever taken of Plymouth Rock, and then take one today. The level of the water is exactly the same. And they talk about the sea levels will rise and this will happen. There hasn't been any significant sea level rise in generations. And we're a lot cleaner now than we were. So what happened? Shouldn't this have happened already? It's a lie. It's another grift that the left does to get money and votes and villainize people that don't believe it. Wendy. Thank you. There goes Wendy. East Northport. I went to school there. John H. Glenn High School back in the olden days. It was a one-room schoolhouse. All right. Maybe not that old. Let us go we'll whisk you off to Minnesota, where Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan. Hey, Peggy Flanagan, don't you know? How are you doing, Peggy Flanagan? Lieutenant Governor, she has a problem with the Laken Riley law. This is just, who the hell has a problem? Laken Riley, of course, we remember a young woman out jogging, a habitual, violent, illegal alien offender, murdered her. And the Laken Riley law is supposed to keep this from happening, deporting these criminal illegals, making sure that local law enforcement informs ICE as to their crimes and where they are. That way they're not let loose by these local law enforcement and able to perpetrate horrible crimes like the murder of Laken Riley. What a reasonable law. This isn't some law that should be controversial in any way. Let's keep our citizens from being murdered by illegal aliens. That by them being here illegally makes them a criminal. And let's not have sanctuary cities and sanctuary states where when they're arrested, it's all on the QT. Psst, keep it quiet from ICE. Just let him go. And you end up with a wonderful person that is now dead because of it. And not only do these people like Peggy Flanagan not realize the blood on their hands when they look at things like this, situations like this. There is blood on their hands. Sanctuary city, sanctuary state. Not only do they feel they're not responsible in any way for the deaths of people like Laken Riley, they double down on wanting these illegal, violent criminals to be allowed to just roam around with impunity. But let's hear Peggy Flanagan's own words, shall we?
The very first vote in the second Trump administration that he brought forward was for the Laken Riley Act. It was one of his biggest priorities.
They're booing Laken Riley.
It stripped due process away from immigrants, allowed for the indefinite detention of adults and children, and was the green light to give ICE unprecedented power to totally terrorize our communities.
Unprecedented.
And I want to be clear that there is a straight line from the Laken Riley Act vote to what we saw in the streets of our communities.
My God.
And both of our U.S. senators, Amy Klobuchar and Tina Smith, led the way by voting against the Laken Riley Act. Representatives Betty McCollum, Ilhan Omar, and Kelly Morrison, they all voted no too.
Yeah. Yeah, good for them. The booing of the Laken Riley Act, the applause for the politicians that voted against the Laken Riley Act, a murdered young, productive young woman by a piece of garbage, illegal, violent felon who'd already had a record who was arrested and set back out. That's the only reason Laken Riley is dead. And this woman is using Laken Riley's name as something terrible, as something that a law that is somehow unjust. Drew a straight line from the Laken Riley Act to the unprecedented, what we're seeing the ICE agents do, the unprecedented violence and what? They are well within the right. I got to say this again, that ICE is well within the legal rights to do what they're doing, to deport, to gather up and deport illegals. The president has said it. The Supreme Court backs it. And this woman and everyone in Minnesota, Tim Walz, all of them, they just can't grasp that blood is on their hands. Laken Riley's blood is on their hands because of these sanctuary policies. They care more about these illegals than they do about innocent Americans. They care more about illegal felons, violent illegals, than they do about peaceful, contributing Americans in this country. Disgusting. Just disgusting. Oh, my God. All right, here we go. Silas, is that your name in Staten Island?
Silas.
Silas. Wow, what a voice. Listen to this guy.
Okay. Well, the thing is, I'm glad you played that part with the blue-haired woman there. It shows people, these people are very stupid, and people don't want to admit it. You know, you can't call them names. Well, what am I going to call them? Unintelligent? They don't know their subject. They take these jobs just to get money and to fleece the public. And as far as Mandami, he's not a stupid person, and he doesn't have any shame. He's here to do a job.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, he's young. He doesn't know what he's doing. No, him being young has nothing to do with it. And at 34, I could run this city when I was 24. The people who founded this country were in their 20s.
Yeah.
The men who flew over and bombs took 36 hours of flying, those brave people who defend us.
Oh, geez. They eliminated him. See? They didn't like what he was saying. I think he hit his off button on his phone. Call back. We'll get you back on there. But he is right. They are stupid people. They just don't they don't understand that there are smart people in this country who see what they're doing. And Mamdani is clever. You could see it from his campaign. He knew exactly how to run for office in this city. He knew exactly how to run for office because he knows that there's a lot of dummies. There's a lot of dummies in the city that would vote for him if he talked about free stuff. Zoran is two things also. You got to remember, he's a communist. He's not a Democrat, socialist Democrat. He's a communist. In his perfect world, the government would be a communist government. He's also a Muslim. And both of those have, he feels a duty to progress policies of communism and Islam. And he doesn't have any shame because he doesn't feel shame. The people that feel shame are the people that know they're doing something wrong. Zoran's even more dangerous because he believes God tells him what to do. His God tells him what to do. And he believes communism is the only way people should be governed. And he believes it. Why would you feel ashamed of that if you absolutely, honestly believe it? And that's who he is. That's the guy who he is. So he is a dangerous fellow. He's charismatic. The girls like him. They like his smile. And that's a dangerous combination. Matt in Manhattan. What's up, Matt?
Thanks for taking my call, Anthony. I'll piggyback to what you were just talking about concerning a guy, he's a Republican by the name of Corey Miller. And he married a woman, but she was Muslim, and that's fine. But when he was married by an imam by the name of Hantun, who happened to have ties to the Muslim Brotherhood. Isn't that nice?
Awesome.
Picking up on the blue-haired woman that you began speaking about.
Yeah.
They never, when they're talking about climate change and pushing climate change, they never talk about geoengineering and the chemtrails, the aluminum streaks in the sky that come down and rain on us, and we breathe that in. They don't want to talk about that.
Yeah. I used to listen to a lot of people and go like, oh, stop with the chemtrails and everything. And I still, I don't go 100%. Like, I honestly don't think an American Airlines 737 flying people to Cincinnati, the pilot has this secret switch and all of a sudden chemicals start coming out. I don't buy that. What I do believe is what I've seen and heard and has been proven, that there are organizations and government agencies that aren't even trying to hide the fact that they are geoengineering. They are trying to put things in the atmosphere, chemicals and elements and whatnot, that block out the sun to for whatever ends they believe they need to come to. But that I absolutely believe, and I've seen it, and it's been proven. But I don't believe that every passenger plane, because there are some things called contrails. I know everybody says, oh, contrails. They are. They're scientifically proven. And sometimes that's what we're seeing. I just don't buy the fact that every time you see a vapor trail coming from a plane, that it's chemicals. Do you?
When they're in solid streaks of white lines, yes. When they're just, it's just humidity coming out, you can tell the difference. Then I'm not. But when they're streaks and they stay in streaks in the sky for about 5 minutes and they form into these odd clouds, yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I happen to think certain atmospheric conditions will dictate winds aloft and stuff will break up those clouds quicker than if it's not very windy up there. Different temperatures. You could see a plane flying if they're flying through very cold air. Right. That heat and moisture out of the engine is going to condense into a cloud. If they're flying straight and then they hit another patch of air where the temperature's different, it might look like they have shut off whatever this chem machine is, but it's just the varying temperatures change the thickness of these clouds. So again, I'm there. I'm with you guys. I'm not 100%. It's all BS. I'm with you. Don't worry about it. Thank you, Matt. A lot of these conspiratorial theories that I've heard my entire life, I used to really, really be against or didn't believe every single one of them. Now I'm a lot more open to it because who am I to say? And I haven't seen the government being very sincere in telling me the truth. But that doesn't mean that every single one of them is true either. I do like doing research. I like seeing if there is a genuine scientific reason for things happening, because I see a lot of people, especially these, I talk about them all the time, the crazy flat earthers and the we never went to the moon people. It's not so much that I believe the government when they say we did go to the moon. It's that the argument that a lot of the we never went to the moon people make is made up of stuff that's so easily debunked with science, real science. And, that can't happen. How does a spacecraft come back in the atmosphere at 75,000 miles an hour, and it could stop within 7 seconds? The people would be pulverized inside. It's like, yeah, because that doesn't happen. And then they go like, no, it does. That's the NASA said. If you're coming into the atmosphere at a high rate of speed, it's going to take quite a few miles in that atmosphere at the right angle, pointing the right way with the heat shield to slow you down to a reasonable speed to come back into our atmosphere and to slow down enough to deploy a parachute. They don't just go from this incredible speed to 20 miles an hour within a second. Doesn't happen. So I've heard a lot of nonsense from conspiracy theorists, but there's other stuff that I'm definitely willing to delve into. All right, back in a moment.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. And, boy, we're whisking around the United States, pointing out a few of these politicians that are just, look out, I'm going to say it, full of it. Whoa, Anthony, language. You were a shock jock, weren't you? We go back to Illinois, but we focus in on Chicago. Brandon Johnson, of course, the mayor of Chicago. This guy, talk about bodies piling up. Talk about Nero fiddling while Rome burns. This guy will not do a damn thing about the problem with crime in his city. He talks. He shows up at events. He blames. He's a very good blame guy. Blames everything. Trump, law enforcement, ICE, slavery. You could just pick anything. And Brandon Johnson will blame it because he is blameless. When young people in his city are gunning each other down in record numbers, it's got to be someone else's fault. And perish the thought he actually does something about it, makes some hard decisions and some difficult choices in curtailing the criminal element that is a daily occurrence in his city. These teen takeovers that happen in the city, the cop assassinations, the violence, teen-on-teen violence, if I may say. Well, Brandon Johnson gets in front of a microphone behind his podium, and he talks about what he's doing, because he is doing something. It's not working. It will never work, but he thinks he's doing something. Here's what he thinks need be done to start curtailing the problem with crime and young people committing horrific violence in the city of Chicago. Brandon?
For the residents in Hyde Park who go outside and their cars have been totaled and they're looking for accountability and they want to understand where is the leadership in this situation when it comes to these young people, what do you tell those residents?
The same thing that I'm telling you now. Prior to Hyde Park, there were 6 arrests and 24 citations the week before. Did it stop them from going to Hyde Park? It did not. And so what I'm saying to those parents, I can do my job as mayor. I cannot parent your child. I can love them. I can invest in them. We can hold them accountable. I don't expect you, Terrell, to parent my child if he acts up. And trust me, sometimes he does. And sometimes I have to give him a longer hug. And so what I'm simply saying is to the parents, families in Hyde Park, the parents in Austin, the parents downtown, regardless of where you live, it's about making sure that our young people have opportunity. I taught in our public schools. I know the pressure of wayward children and parents who don't always have answers. But it's going to take all of us. If anyone believes that one mayor is solely responsible for everyone's child, that is not an expectation that I believe that anyone has. I'm doing my part. It's going to take all of us. And yes, we're going to hold people accountable. And yes, we're going to create opportunities. And yes, I'm calling on parents. Yes, I'm calling on teens. The leadership was in my executive order when we have 50 young people who are willing to take the leadership role to hold their peers accountable. That's leadership. 55% increase in youth jobs. That's leadership. Making sure that young people can take charge of their communities. That's leadership. And it's going to take all of us to continue to make sure that our young people see their purpose and their future in our beloved city.
Oh, my God. You have a police force. Use it. He's appealing to the parents. The reason a lot of these kids are mental and violent and willing to go out in groups that number in the hundreds to commit violence is because they don't have parents, or they don't have parents that are there and available to them and are disciplining them and instilling in them what's right and wrong. That's why. You can't appeal to something that isn't there and doesn't exist. At some point, the mayor has to step in and let law enforcement do what they need to do. Consequence of actions. If these kids are running around like maniacs, assaulting people, shooting guns at people, murdering people, they need to be held accountable. You don't give them another hug, an extra hug. You don't appeal to the parents. Maybe at some point a parent might go, wow, you need to knock that off if there is consequence. If the parent has to drive down and bail them out of jail, maybe then the parent might step up and do something. But as far as the mayor doing something, do your job. Allow the cops to get in there and bust that crap up. Right? You got me? I certainly hope so. All right, back in a few.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Thanks for tuning in. Anyone basketball fan care about the Knicks in New York? I guess they're playing, Philly? Is that what they got? Playoffs. What are you going to do? I want to tell you about FanDuel Predicts. That's what I want to do. FanDuel Predicts. If you're into the playoffs, you're into watching the playoffs, it makes it so much more interesting when you got a little something on it, doesn't it? Oh, yeah. So many sports are just horrible to sit and watch. The second you have something on it, now you're talking. So if you're a basketball fan, I guess you can bet on that. I am not. And I'm not really a big sports guy, but that doesn't mean I can't use FanDuel Predicts. You know what the prediction market is? This is huge. You can bet on pretty much anything. Anything. What's going on in the world? Will the Straits of Hormuz open? You know, stuff like that. Now you're talking. Now, just like sports. You know, sports might not be interesting to you. Maybe life isn't interesting to you. But if you could bet on it, now you're talking. Oh, I don't like politics. Well, maybe you could bet on it. Who's going to win an election? Who's the next politician to get thrown out of office? These are all things on prediction markets. You could look up and down bets people are making, get kind of a line on what people are thinking so you don't just have to jump into it blind. It makes everything a little more interesting. I've sat there at a bar nursing a beer, watching a ball game up on the screen. It's just background noise. But when you have a little something on it, it makes it a lot more interesting, doesn't it? Yeah, it's not just sports. FanDuel Predicts. You get in on everything. And that's the part people miss, not just sports. You can predict the spread. If you like sports, though, you can predict the spread, the total points, the game-winning moments, all the playoff stuff, prop bets. And it absolutely changes the way you watch. Changes the way you watch anything. The news, sports. If you got something riding on it, ooh, boy, that's what I call fun. Offered by FanDuel Prediction Markets, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant. 18 plus, please. Bonus is non-withdrawable. You get a bonus, too. Signing bonus. Expires 7 days after receipt. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with our consumer protection tools. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/predicts/bonus-offer-terms. All right, kids. Look at your pal Anthony telling you how to use your disposable income. Indeedy duty. Could you fix the phones, please, up there in New York? I don't know why that continue and stop sharing screen thing pops up. Maybe there's a setting where it won't pop up as much. Let's go to, you might remember this guy, John Kerry. John Kerry, Democrat, Vietnam War veteran. He used to use that a lot to give him some clout. Well, John Kerry he doesn't like a little something called the First Amendment. What? I know. Says the First Amendment is a bit of a bump in the road. Like a speed bump? A little bump, a little barrier to the final goal of people like John Kerry, which is censorship. But they don't call it that because they lie. First of all, it is censorship that Democrats, liberals want. You see it all the time. College campuses, you see it when they're protesting. It's a big thing. They shut down anyone that shows up that isn't with their cause. Tell them to leave. You can't be here. Leave. We don't want you here. And they put their hand in front of the camera. They try to steal the microphone. That is censorship. They don't think so because they think they're on the right side, the correct side, if I may. And John Kerry is saying the same thing in this clip you're going to hear because he thinks there's misinformation out there and disinformation out there, blatant lies. People are being influenced by other people on social media, and they're being influenced in ideology that isn't John Kerry's. So it must be wrong, and it needs to be stopped. That's what always gets me about these people. They can't see that their opinion is just that, just another opinion. They could think it is the most righteous opinion ever. But other people that disagree with it and want to voice that opinion, they would rather have them silenced. They do it all the time. So here's John Kerry talking about the First Amendment being a little bit of an obstacle in their goal.
And I think the dislike of and anguish over social media is just growing and growing and growing. And it's part of our problem, particularly in democracies, in terms of building consensus around any issue. It's really hard to govern today. You can't, there's the referees we used to have to determine what's a fact and what isn't a fact have kind of, been eviscerated to a certain degree. And people go and that people self-select where they go for their news or for their information. And then you just get into a vicious cycle. So it's really, really hard, much harder to build consensus today than at any time in the 45, 50 years I've been involved in this. And there's a lot of discussion now about how you curb those entities in order to guarantee that you're going to have, some accountability on facts, et cetera. But look, if people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick and, has an agenda and they're putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out of existence. So what we need is to win the ground, win the right to govern by hopefully having, winning enough votes that you're free to be able to to implement change. Now, obviously, there are some people in our country who are prepared to implement change in other ways. And
so
that's
you're
really
questioning
dangerous.
really if democracy can survive unregulated social media.
I think democracies are very challenged right now and have not proven they can move fast enough or big enough to deal with the challenges that we are facing. And to me, that is part of what this race, this election is all about. Will we break the fever in the United States?
Unbelievable. Oh, my God. The First Amendment is a major block in governing. This is what he's saying. They need to win the right to govern so you can make these changes. What changes? He said it. He said it. Curbing the entities. That's what he says. He wants to curb the entities out there. Because why? Those entities don't agree with you? How about the fact that when he brings up one source, what is the one source? There are thousands of sources out there. You know when we had one source? When all the people had was mainstream media with a single agenda, a left-wing agenda. They don't like that people can go elsewhere and see other ideas, other opinions, voice their own opinions. We're self-selecting. Oh, what a crime. These are all the words he used in that statement, in that little speech there. People tend to self-select? Yeah. Yeah, I don't agree with that. So let me see if there's other people with an opinion like I have. I'll select a news source that I have seen and experienced that seems to be honest and not agenda-driven as much. He needs, he used the word, they need to have a referee. Who could that be? Who would be the person that gets to decide what is disinformation or misinformation? Because I'll tell you, during COVID, there was a lot of legitimate information that was labeled disinformation and misinformation. People lost their accounts. They got canceled. And they weren't allowed to voice anything that was against the company line on COVID. And we found out that a lot of that information that was called disinformation or misinformation was indeed true and right. So who would be this amazing, wonderful, knowledgeable person or entity that could decide what is true and what is false without being agenda-driven? All the little catchphrases and words he used there. And then just saying the First Amendment is a major block in doing what he wants it to be done, which is curbing the entities out there. And by entities, he means people, other alternative news, InfoWars. We just watched InfoWars go down the toilet. Whether you liked Alex Jones or not, whether you agreed with him in what he said or not, whether you loved him or hated him, he was a guy with an opinion on social media. And they certainly got rid of him. They certainly did. Dissolved his entire a kingdom that he had built over the course of years and years and years. There you go. That's John Kerry. Oh, boy. Back in a moment.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show on a beautiful Sunday evening. I hope you had a great weekend. Weekends so important, aren't they? And so quick. They're over so quickly. Let us go to Gary. Gary, Southern Jersey. What's up, Gary?
Hey, Anthony. Very nice show.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I talked to you once before, and my kid showed me how to watch it on the computer. So I watch all your videos.
I love it. My kid showed me how to watch it on the computer.
Well, but I'm a Vietnam veteran. I retired.
Thank you for your service, my friend, especially back then when a bunch of commies in this country were giving you guys a lot of guff.
Well, hey, that's, I wasn't here when they were doing all the protesting.
Yeah.
But, who the hell knows?
Who the hell knows?
But anyway, I spent 25 years on the job. I've been retired now 25 years. So I'm not a spring chicken. But what I had said to the screener, I never saw in my whole life. When I was a kid, there were Democrats and Republicans, and they had their differences.
Yep.
But you never saw politicians that are elected to office that hate this country and don't care about America.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that had to do, in my day when I was a kid, all of your, politicians, most of them were World War II veterans. Well, they were
True.
a Democrat or Republican, and they had a feeling for the country. And
they were invested. They were invested
Yeah.
in the country. They made sacrifices, and they got into politics because of that. They wanted to better the country, make the country better. That is gone, man. You do not see that anymore.
And I look at these people like Ilar, whatever the hell her name is.
Ilhan Omar, yeah.
Yeah, the one who
The
married
Somali.
her brother in Minnesota, whatever the hell she is.
Yeah.
And you see these people in the not too distant past, they would have been arrested for sedition and be at the Crossbar Hotel. They wouldn't have let them. And I was reading something about Joe McCarthy, who was a drujul. No one's saying he wasn't, but the guy was right. Look what happened.
Yeah, at the time it seemed a little intense what he was doing. The blacklists that would come out, and everyone better dead than red. But in hindsight, seeing where things went, you almost wish it would have been nipped in the bud back then.
Yeah, and you look what's going on in these big cities. The only thing that, when I see all these kids doing this crazy stuff on campus, what I do feel good about is when I see my kid graduated from Liberty University after he did 2 years in Iraq, and you see a lot of kids that, young people that are doing something.
Yeah,
and it gives you some hope. But I'll be honest with you, I never thought I'd say this in my whole life. I don't know if the problems we have in this country can be corrected in the voting booth.
Man, I've been thinking that. I've talked to a lot of people, Gary, that feel the same way. It seems like we've crossed over into a place where we're past the point of no return with the way we usually or used to solve our issues as Americans.
And that's not happening. And, there's a King Trump, this and that. Quite frankly, if he ever said, I'm going to declare martial law and we're going to get this place back in order,
right?
I really don't think it would bother me. I never thought like that, but I've never seen things in 74 years so screwed up.
Yep.
And
I hear you.
I want to tell you something. I want you to watch one movie which mirrors what is happening today. It's an old movie from the 30s starring Walter Houston. It's called Gabriel Over the White House. And if you watch that, you will see that the problems they're dealing with them, and it's a kind of fantasy movie, is not too different than that's happening today.
Yeah, some history is pretty spot on as far as what's going on these days. Gary, thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.
It's always good to talk to you, and I love your show on TV.
Thank you, my friend. Take it easy, Gary. Here goes Gary. Here it is. On the TV and on the computer. That guy's seen a lot. He's been an American. He's invested. He went to war. He was a cop. You can't discount what the guy's been through and what he has seen. He's seen the good and the bad of America and seen how we worked it out politically, socially. And even he is thinking, we might not be in a position where we can work this out like we used to with votes or discussion or what have you. And that's alarming because, like I said, that guy's been around and he's not just been locked in his room the whole time, out and about, lived life, living life. And he's saying, oh boy, maybe we're in a bit of Dutch here. Oh boy, well, my Sunday night wouldn't be complete without the intoxicating voice of Susan from Corning, New York. Susan, how are you, dear?
Great. I'm moving to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to get out of this hellhole called the People's Republic of New York. But I wanted to say, you started out saying how so many, the exodus from New York City. Yeah. And there's like a little thing I came across through my research and digging that so all the people with their kids and also the atrocious education system there. Now, for the last 20 years, there's been between 1 and 1.2 million children in public schools in New York City. It is now down to 800,000. But guess what? It used to be a $10 billion budget for 1.2 million. Now it's $42 billion for 800,000. That's 42,000 a year. And guess what? About 30% of them are totally illiterate.
Oh, yeah. They can't do the simplest of math, and their reading and writing skills are it's terrible. And the more money they pump in, the lower these scores go. It has nothing to do with the money. It has to do with the teachers and has to do with the students not wanting to learn and not allowing the other kids in the room that want to learn to do what they need to do. No discipline.
It's a disaster. It's a human crisis. But then, let's just fast forward to Mamdani and his solution, which is to take 40 babies from 6 weeks old to 4 years old. 40. Okay, he's getting this. He's renovating some dilapidated building down by City Hall for millions of dollars. The nutshell is it's going to cost for 40 city workers.
Yeah. Well, Susan,
putting a 6-week-old into that kind of child care. If they're working, they
Susan,
have
you know why this is, benefits. Susan, you know why this is? So he can say, I kept my campaign promise. I have child daycare set up. He doesn't say how many. It's like the free buses. They proposed $15 million for one free bus line in every borough. That's 5 bus lines that he says. And then the grocery stores, one grocery store in one borough until 2029, where he hopes to have one in all 5 boroughs. This is what he does. He does just enough to say, hey, look, I kept my promise. It cost millions upon millions of dollars, and nothing really gets done. Susan, I got to let you go. I'm coming up on a break, but thank you for the call. And, a lot of politicians do this. It's called lying. Thank you. Back in a moment. Don't you go anywhere.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show, and let's turn the wheel and head back toward Minnesota, where Governor Pritzker. We'll hear a little bit about from Governor Pritzker about the minimum wage. First of all, he's lying about it. He lies about the amount of minimum wage. I believe it's up to $15 an hour nationally. He's talking about waiters and waitresses and tips. People that get tips make $7.50, $7.80, whatever it is, an hour, but they get tips. And by the way, Pritzker's against no tax on tips. Donald Trump's platform. He ran on that. So when he talks about people not being able to afford things on their hourly wage unless they boost minimum wage, why isn't he all for not taxing the tips that workers that get tips? Why is he against that when they only make $7 and change an hour because they work in a tip industry? So Pritzker talks about minimum wage and how it's just you can't afford to live. I cannot afford to live on minimum wage. We'll hear his comments, and then we'll talk about it, won't we? Here's Governor Pritzker.
Let's raise the minimum wage. You want to make life more affordable for people? How about you raise wages for people? I don't just mean the minimum wage, but let's start there. $7.25 an hour. You can't survive on one full-time job, $14,000 a year. No one can survive on just that. Even two of those full-time jobs, $28,000. You can't raise a family on that. You can barely survive on your own. So let's start with raising the minimum wage, but let's also look at universal health care. That's what Democrats ought to be fighting for. It's what we've always believed in, but moved too slowly. And that's why I think that we need an agenda that we're going to pass in a Democratic Congress in 2027 and 2028.
Oof. If we lose the House and the Senate in the election, this is the kind of stuff you're going to see. Now, Trump's veto can only do so much, especially if they get a larger majority. You got to go out. We talk about how voting, we're very disillusioned with our electoral system here in this country, but you still got to do it. You still have to go out there and vote. It's all we have right now until we can come up with something better to change people's minds and get this country back on track. Because for how bad it is, it can get a lot worse. You get Democrats with a large majority, House and Senate, it's just over, Johnny. With things like this, they'll talk about it. Minimum wage. Pritzker talks about making it more affordable by raising the minimum wage. This is a simple economics scenario. You pay people more and they can afford more. It's so juvenile. It's a childlike take on economics. You're putting the burden on the employer. That's first of all, to come up with the money to pay people for jobs that just aren't worth that much an hour. And if you give people more money, the cost of everything goes up. It becomes just as unaffordable, only now you're shelling out more money. You made more money. Now you shell out more of that money to pay for things that cost more of that money. It's elementary, before elementary economics. But again, I don't think Pritzker doesn't know this. I think he's got some knowledge as far as economics goes to understand that raising people's minimum wage will not help. But he knows that his constituents, his voters, are stupid enough to not know that. And that's all it takes, really. You don't have to be dumb. The people that support you need to be dumb. And that's what I think is in play here. The other thing is he talks about raising a family on minimum wage. You can't raise a family? Whoever said a minimum wage job is a job for raising a family? This is an entry-level position. Fast food restaurants, laborer, or on a job site. These are all jobs that are you're entering the workforce. You're going from babysitter and paper boy, and you're stepping up to an actual job, but it certainly isn't where you are going to be when you want to raise a family. If I may bring me into the discussion, I had minimum wage jobs in high school and after high school. They were great. They gave me money for cigarettes, beer, an occasional ham and Swiss on Hero with a little bit of mustard from the deli, little bit of gas for the 69 Nova, and that was it. You hung out with your friends. You hoped you'd get a date, and then you had to step up maybe for some wine, something a little better than that pony pack of Budweiser. That's what your minimum wage job was for. And it would be gone by the time you got into class in high school on Monday. But you had a great time because you still lived at home. Your mom made dinner. You had a rent-free bed to sleep in. And that was no expenses, really. That's what a minimum wage job is. If you start thinking you can raise a family on that, and that it's now on the employer to pay somebody an outrageously high salary for a ridiculously unskilled entry-level job, whose problem is that? You're supposed to learn from an entry-level job. You learn things like responsibility. It takes some people a little longer to learn. I'm still trying. But that's how you learn about working for somebody. You have a boss. You have things you're supposed to do and get them done in a timely fashion, and then you get paid for it. You need to show up on time. All of these things are a teaching mechanism for your next job, which hopefully pays more money, has a little more responsibility, a little more prestige, whatever it is. And eventually you reach a point where you can move out of your parents' house. I can now pay rent. I can make a car payment or just buy an old clunker. I could afford insurance and gas money, but I have to go to work every day. And I work for the amount of money, hopefully, it's the amount of money I'm worth. And years go by, and you decide maybe you want to get married and raise a family. Well, you have better have built up that resume and skills and gotten yourself to a job where you can afford to do those things. These politicians have it in their head that they're telling these morons, and these morons believe it, that they need a raise in minimum wage, an entry-level position, entry-level job for minimum wage should be enough to raise a family. That's insane. But they keep telling them it, and they believe it. They want to believe it. What are we going to do? What in the hell are we going to do? John from Arizona. What's up, John?
What's going on, Anthony? How are you doing today?
Pretty good. Thank you for asking.
So I was just going to piggyback on what you were talking about, women in the workplace or whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
And I just wanted to hear your opinion. I know your opinion on cops, female cops going on patrol or whatnot.
Yeah.
But what are your opinions on women being in combat arms?
Yeah, I don't think women should be in combat either. I mean, and we've seen some examples, and they will point out the exception to the rule, the amazing women that make amazing soldiers. And the vast majority aren't physically able to do the job that needs to be done. If you want to give them military occupations to free up the men that are physically capable of fighting in combat, then so be it. But I watch enough videos of women trying to pull a bolt back on a machine gun, and they're physically incapable of doing it. That gets people killed, as we see in female police officers, incapable of doing the job that needs to be done. They are powerless until a man shows up to do the job for them. And that is an unbelievable danger to everyone, even the perpetrator.
So the Starship Trooper movie is a horror show that is soon to come on to our society, where they want a genderless society where men and women can be in showers together. And
they're showering, mouthing off, roasting each other about their manhood. And then they just all get dressed, and they're all equally as good at doing everything. What a farce. What a fantasy of the left. It's a left-wing fantasy. And I saw last night, I was watching the last Mission Impossible movie that came out. What is it called? Oh, God, I can't remember the name of it. It's the final one that came out. And I'm watching a black woman president. And I had spoken about this too. When they filmed these movies, there's a few of them out right now. They thought Kamala Harris was going to be the president. So they made all these movies with a strong black woman president or black women leading military men, fighting men, because they thought Kamala was going to be president. And that was going to be the theme, the strong black woman. And she lost an insane campaign. She didn't get one swing state. She lost the popular vote and electoral college. And now those movies look ridiculous. And they're so unrealistic. This wafy girl is now fighting Russian mob guys. You know, I'm going to take on the Russian mafia. And this little waif of a woman is kicking and spinning back fist, and these Russian mob guys can't handle her. It's a fantasy. It's a liberal fantasy, and they're all written by liberal women. The same movie.
So what causes people to believe something like this? It's
the brainwashing, the college campus indoctrinations, all of the nonsense of women can do everything men can do, all the news, Hollywood. It's all part of it. In the same movie last night, what's his name? Tom Cruise had to go on an aircraft carrier, and he got on the aircraft carrier, George H.W. Bush. And it was a blonde woman with a ponytail. She was the commander of the aircraft carrier. And like, how does this? He was on an Osprey flying to a destination. The pilot and co-pilot on this treacherous mission were both women. And it's all because it's written by these either beta guys or these liberal women. And they have this fantasy that that's what should be happening in this world. And the reality is just a stark difference, John. Thank you, my friend. The movies, it's just, I watched the trailer a lot of times before I watch the movie, and I'll just not watch the movie. I had to see Mission Impossible because I've seen all of them. This was the worst one yet. This was just a terrible Mission Impossible. And, again, the TV shows you see, what did they make? They made like a movie with a big, obese woman as a hero. She's a cop. It wasn't The Punisher, was it? Maybe it is. Queen Latifah. They had Queen Latifah, this middle-aged equalizer. Yeah, that was it. The Equalizer. She's like a middle-aged fat woman, and she's kicking guys' asses. And you're like, just stop. I'm willing to suspend disbelief for certain situations in movies, sci-fi, But it's every movie. The strong woman who just subjugates the what would be strong men. And she knows all the answers, and she's the tough, wise one. And, knock it off. These female cops can't even take down your basic skell in New York City till the guys show up, till the real cops show up. Just outrageous how that works. I don't know how we got on that, but I was talking about Pritzker and his minimum wage. It just can't, you cannot stay at a minimum wage job. Kids are supposed to have those jobs, not raising families. You're part of the family. You're a little kid in a family that has his first job, and he's making money so he can hang out with his friends. He's the family. Hopefully, he's got a mother and a father. The father has a real job. He is not working for minimum wage. He is raising a family, and that kid is part of the family. He doesn't need to buy diapers and baby formula and all the things that a dad would have to buy. The idea of even a $15 minimum wage, which it's at, which, by the way, when they were talking about going up to $15 an hour for minimum wage, people thought that was insane. Now, again, it's not enough. It's just like when they talk about wealthy people's taxes. They have to pay their fair share. And it's always different. It always goes up. Even when they raise the taxes, for some reason, really quickly, it's not fair anymore. You need to pay more. Same thing with the minimum wage. Oh, minimum wage is this now. Well, now we got to raise it again. Why? Well, the cost of living went up. Yeah, sorry. Sorry. It's an entry-level job. They just, they get idiots that vote for them, and everything they tell them is that we will give you more. We'll give you free stuff. We'll give you more money. We'll give you free health care. And it's all lies. It's all just lies. But these dummies eat it up, and the country pays. The rest of us pay the price. That's why they're going to kiosks. That's why at Wendy's, you won't be able to eat inside Wendy's anymore. You'll order like a drive-thru. They'll throw your food at you through a window, and you sit outside because they don't want to pay $20 an hour for some scrub to seat you and sweep up and take your order. Everything will be automated. That's who's really going to pay the price for AI, are these people that think they're worth $25 an hour for a minimum wage job. All right, don't go anywhere. We'll continue.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show. Let's go right down there to Texas, talk to Freddie. Freddie, what is up, my Texas friend?
Hey, Anthony, very disappointing you. My daughter is a Navy pilot, and she's seen more combat in missions in the last 2 years than most sons of Army guys that are in journalism or cooking or fleet maintenance or whatever they do.
All right.
And I'm just very disappointed. Either you're a John Catsimatidis apologist and Sid Rosenberg apologist. I'm very disappointed in you. Huge fan from back in the day. So you just lost your way, brother.
I don't think so. I was going to kind of agree with the fighter pilots because they're it's not like being on the ground, being a grunt, having to be around all the men in combat face to face. Like you're flying a machine. I think if you have a sound mind, and it does take some physical acuity, that's for sure. I think that's one of the military jobs where a woman probably can be an equal to a man. But your other stuff you're saying is ridiculous. An apologist. Why am I an apologist? Unless you're on public airwaves or internet show, unless you're bashing Jews, I guess you're an apologist. That seems to be what a lot of people think. I take people as they come. And I take communities as they go. I see certain communities that have issues and problems, and I talk about that. But, everyone's got to be an apologist. Everyone's this. It's all one problem. Open your eyes. Open your eyes, jerky. All right. How about a school is exposed for their lack of teaching their kids? There's a kid who went around with a camera, his phone, and he started asking these students from the school, high school, to read something off a card, a little saying. It had some tricky words in there, but nothing a high school senior shouldn't be able to read. And when they couldn't read some of these terms, he put it online, and now they're saying they're talking about expelling him from the school for exposing that the school is not teaching their kids to read. And he's the one they're going to penalize for exposing this. Play some of this video, AC7, and listen to them, these students trying to sound out words like they are in second grade.
Read the index card for me.
She wore a suit, clothes that were... Who's this for? Extraordinary, but somewhat Gertrude?
Now explain what that means.
Gauche.
I don't know.
She wore a sahalat of clothes that were extraordinary, whatever, bro, but somewhat gooch. What does that mean? She wore a lot. Wait, she wore. Bro, I don't know, bro. Can you take the card back, please?
She wore a. Oh, baby. She wore a silhouette of clothes that were. Bitch, I don't know that word. I don't even know how to read. I don't know why I did it.
She wore a silhouette of clothes that were extraordinary, but somewhat gauche. All right, now what does that mean? I have no idea. Like it's cool, it's nice or something like that.
She wore a. I don't know what this should say. I don't know what this should say. I don't know what this should say.
Oops.
I can't read it.
Right.
Can't read it.
That's good enough. Yeah, that is that is a school that these are seniors. They cannot read. And then he's also showing that there's no comprehension. What does that mean? I don't know. No reading, no ability to read, no ability to comprehend what you're reading. And reading and writing scores are higher than math scores. They're even worse at math in a lot of these schools. And the school saw this, had a little meeting, and instead of saying, oh my God, this looks terrible for us, what are we doing wrong? How are we not giving these kids the education we're supposed to be giving them? What could we possibly do? We need to have everyone come in, all the teachers and administrators, and talk about what we're doing wrong. Nope. That ain't what they did. They said, oh my God, who put this video together? They need to be expelled. They need to be thrown out of our school. That's the problem with schools. That's the problem. They know they're not doing their job. They know they're not teaching these kids. They do not care, and don't call them out on it because you'll be the bad guy. All right, people, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next Sunday, so join us then for more of the Anthony Cumia Show. Until then, arrivederci.
Thanks for listening to the Anthony Cumia Show. You can hear the Anthony Cumia Show Sunday nights at 8. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.